Do what would love do?
Hey, Jean, everybody. I'm going to tuck the mic back here, just so it's not. Oh, okay. That was a nice reminder, wasn't it? You know, sometimes we complicate things. We make it so friggin' complicated. And what if we just ask, what would love do right now? Really? Can we just make space for that? So it's our year of empowerment. Anybody in here feeling empowered yet? Right? We're working it, right? This unapologetic manifestation that we're working it to step into a place of greater empowerment. And we're in week 5 of the book study, and this one is Share the Journey. Right? Share the journey. And there's a lot of pieces that kind of come up around this. So first off, you know, we're talking about living into an abundant, prosperous consciousness that is not just about money. Money is like the smallest piece, right? We're talking about living fully into the truth of who we are, sharing our gifts, our talents that are ours to share, being grounded and anchored in a purpose that is in service to the world. Because when we're in service to the world, we're still in service to ourselves. Can you feel the truth of that? So, sharing the journey is this idea about inviting collaboration, inviting new perspectives, creating space for unexpected support, right? For unexpected information or resources or ideas to begin to show up. Because as safe as it might feel to work silently and solo and all alone, how many in here have that little pet project? That little thing that's near and dear? Yeah, I see some hands coming up, right? And we keep it close, right? But it's not enough. We have to bring it out into the world. And in the process of bringing it out into the world, are we going to be vulnerable? Yeah, we are. But in that process, it is our vulnerability that actually creates true connection, right? We want to connect with people, and it requires that we open our heart. It requires that we actually don't pretend that we're something that we are not. And so all of that, like, interaction is what actually creates the most brilliant of ideas. Because what collaboration invites is a way for us to become clear. Y'all know what it's like to just talk to your own head, right? You talk to yourself. How many people? Come on, folks, raise your hands, right? We all talk to ourselves. We have these little inner conversations going on, and we're talking to ourselves. How often does that actually lead to clarity? Really? Most of the time, it just means we're spinning in a place and spinning in place. Collaboration is where we actually can engage in a process that invites us into a deeper sense of clarity. Because we have to be willing, especially in this day of social media, we have to be willing to not make it about, I need everybody to think I have it all together. I need everybody to think that I've got it all figured out. I need to just be the person who looks as if everything is going swimmingly, even when it may not be. Is anybody's life like going swimmingly in every area of their life right now? Because if you are, I'm going to bow down to you, right? That there are always challenges that are arising, and yet we're so afraid to share that. And yet it's in the sharing of that healing is possible, transformation is possible, expansion is possible. And it's a way for us to be able to engage with those feelings of loss and not enough and doubt, as was our release for Lent. It's a way for us to navigate those emotions by not ignoring them, but by bringing them into a safe space, and we're going to talk about that, where they can be transformed into greater possibility. It's what the prayer chaplains do all the time. People come with a limited understanding of where they are, and they feel tight and they feel small. And the prayer chaplains meet that with affirmative prayer, which says, oh, honey, there's so much more available for you right now. There's so much more that you could be, that you could do, that you could stand as. It's about creating a sense of possibility for all of us. And so part of what it does when we step into collaboration, and this is why we don't want to do it. Let me be very clear, right? Why we want to stay in our own head and with our own story and stay in our limited understanding is because it asks us to then really deeply explore our intentions. When you're sharing with people, whatever your vision might be, and they're meeting you, and not always meeting you with, yeah, go girl, right? Let's be real, right? They're meeting you with their questions. They're meeting you with their concerns because they love you. Not because people are bad or hard, just because they love you. I mean, I remember when I decided I wanted to be a theater major, I thought my parents were going to have a heart attack, right? And it was because they loved me. It wasn't coming from a place of negativity. It was coming from a place of love. Are you sure you really want to do that? Are you sure that's the best choice for what you want to be doing in the world? So when we're sharing our vision, we really get to keep asking ourselves, what do I truly desire? Why do I desire it? What is my motivation? So Ken in the book shares how when he was becoming an actor, for him, what he realized was the underlying motivation was he wanted to be loved. He wanted to be seen, right? For me, wanting to become an actor was about telling story in a way that would change the world. That, for me, was why theater drew me in, to tell stories of voices that aren't heard, to be able to touch people in their hearts. Now, it took me a while to really get that was what I actually desired. That was the actual motivation. Once I understood the motivation, I became a minister. No, but it's true. Like, once I understood the motivation, I realized, oh, I don't have to limit myself to just this path. It's the motivation is available to me. So I can tell stories, and I can make a difference, and I can be impactful, but it doesn't have to look the way I thought it had to look. So when we're engaging and collaborating with people who are questioning us, maybe challenging us, maybe 100% supporting us, right? We want all of that. It enables us to look underneath. Because when we are able to identify what the actual motivation is, I got to tell you, it's so freeing. Because all of a sudden you're not stuck on this one track. All of a sudden you have all these potential places, opportunities, where you get to live into who you actually are. I've shared with you one of my friends who I went through prac training with at Agape. She was a trader on the stock market floor. Right? All that screaming, all that yelling, all that, right? That was her world. And her mission was to bring practitioner love consciousness to the floor of the stock exchange. Right? But that was her mission. That's what she was doing, right? So she wasn't a stock market person because she wanted to trade stocks. She was there because she understood that our economy and our currency and the way we hold abundance needed to be changed. And she felt like she had the tools to be an agent for change. So we're looking for, when we step into collaboration, what we're looking for is an engagement, which then opens us up to adaptation. We're shifting our little idea, and we're allowing ourselves to take in other people's ideas And then from there, we get to expand into what it is that our vision actually is. So we call this iterative innovation. Everybody say that, because it's weird. Iterative innovation. And iterative just meaning it keeps happening again and 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 again, right? So you start off with something, an idea, a dream, right, that you have, and it feels whole. I'm going to be a Tony Award-winning actor, all right? And then you have the exposure, and you're sharing it, and you're in it, and you're being invited into new perspectives and fresh insight, and you're getting feedback, and it's stretching the way you understand yourself and what it is that you thought you wanted. And then that invites you for a resynthesis, where you get to refine something and expand something. You get to make it stronger. You get to make it more aligned, not with your idea of how it's supposed to look, but you get to align more with your truest, deepest potential. So that's where a pivot might happen, like for me. I mean, people used to say to me, how did you go from being an actor to being a minister? And I would look at them and be like, well, it's so obvious to me. I'm not confused by it. Made total sense to me, right? Because I don't feel like it was some weird, like 180-degree turn. It felt like it was a shift, just a slight realignment. So part of this, we've talked about this before, and I want to just kind of line it up, because we have talked about Hegel's dialectic, right? Which is thesis, antithesis, and synthesis, which is, it's the same thing, right? They're rooted in the same thing. And if you remember the pictures, I brought it in because I want everyone to remember we've talked about this. Thesis is what gives rise to a new idea. The antithesis is the contradiction or the countering of that idea. And then the synthesis is how you resolve the tension, right? The tension, the seeming conflict, right? The internal contradictions. How many people in here have internal contradictions? Okay, so this is the process that we're trying to resolve. And from that synthesis, that becomes the new thesis, which then also has a new antithesis, right? It's a continual process. So we start off like we're the little yellow blob, the little yellow ball, and then we interact with the blue ball who's saying, are you sure, really, right? And then we end up being the green ball. But then the green ball becomes the thesis, and we continue interacting, and that creates a red ball. Yeah? Are we all with me? Sometimes my stuff is wacky, right? We're all red balls now, okay? So I want to ask you these questions, because this is where collaboration is so important. It's like, what aspect of your life or of the world is asking you to stand in greater insight? Because collaboration, the colliding of ideas, is where that greater insight is going to arise. What contradictions are you invited to reconcile in your own understanding? What is it that you're being invited to integrate in a new way? And then how can differing perspectives offer greater insight rather than opposition? And can you feel the power that's available to you if you don't think about the antithesis as opposition, but you think of it as a growth opportunity? Because we're talking about collaboration, not competition, right? We're talking about removing ourselves from a scarcity mindset. Scarcity mindset is what this world operates in right now, right? And it's this idea that if one person has to win, it means the other person has to lose. And what it's done to our world is that we see resources as finite, as scarce. We see money as scarce. We see love as scarce, right? It's destroying our planet. Like literally destroying our planet, not to mention all the people we're killing. All the people who are suffering because we think that I have to win, which means you are SOL, right? Because no, it's my survival. That is the priority. So instead, we're being invited to this idea of a win-win, right? Where we're moving beyond competition, we're even moving beyond compromise. Compromise may be part of it, but we're moving into a place that's about creativity. It's about abundance. So rather than seeing the pie as being really like, oh, we only have 8 slices, so I'm going to take 6 and you get 2, because that makes me feel safer. Instead, how about we ask, how can we make a bigger pie together? How can we make those 8 slices 24 slices? Right? So it's collaboration invites us to take our problems and our challenges and actually make them opportunities for innovation. So this week, I've been sort of picking and choosing from the practices that are in the book. There's a lot in the book, right? But I really think this one in particular really spoke to me last night as I was finalizing my talk. So Ken talks about the 3 vaults. I've always held them as, I call them spheres of influence. How close are people to your heart, right? And he breaks it down into 3 different vaults. And the first vault is very head-oriented, and it is where you're socially polite. It's surface-level conversation that could happen in an elevator. And it might sound something like, the weather is so lovely today. I think I'll have lunch outside, right? That's the first vault. Can you feel sort of how far away from the heart space that is, right? From your authentic self that it is. His next vault is heart-based, and I find this one fascinating because this is what our culture, especially youth, are living in the second vault. And the second vault is the stories we share about our lives, feelings, and experiences, but they're crafted to leave a certain impression, to present ourselves in a specific light. That is social media. That is what is happening in social media, that people are crafting an image that they are projecting about what their life is. They are sharing from the heart, though. And that's something for us to keep in mind if we're judging them, is that it's a way, they are truly trying to connect. So it might look something like, I took my family out for a picnic in the park this weekend, and the weather was so nice, and the kids had been stuck inside on their devices, and I thought we could all use some fresh air, and it really made us feel more connected. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but you're also saying, look what a fabulous parent I am. I saw that my kids, and we don't want our children on devices for too long because that's a no-no. And look what I did. I took them out to the park and we all felt more connected. Can everybody pat me on the back, please? Because I am an awesome parent. That's the second vault. The third vault is the real vault. Right? And this is like the gut. This is like the intuition. This is every part of us, right? This is our most authentic being. And it's vulnerable, and it's an authentic sharing of feelings and experiences in the moment, and we're not censoring them. I couldn't bring myself to go outside this weekend, even though the weather was perfect. I felt stuck and exhausted. Honestly, I wanted to crawl into bed and cry. But instead, I binge-watched Netflix all day. And today, I feel better, maybe because I'm here with you, and this feels like a safe space. Now, can we feel how much more authentic that is? In our teaching, we never dismiss the emotional experience we might be having. What we invite people into is to not fall into it, to not make it the total sum of who we think we are. So what that statement does is acknowledge being in a hard place, acknowledge having a strategy to navigate. How many people in here have binge-watched Netflix all day because it just helps you in some way? All right? I'm into these Asian historical dramas now. There's like 40 episodes in one season. So you can just, and it's great because it's all in Korean or Mandarin, so I can't do anything else. I can't be on my phone. I can't do anything else but watch that TV because I have to follow the subtitles, right? It's actually incredibly healing. Chris, my wife, they all start off very slow. If you decide you want to watch them, like the first 5 episodes, Chris is always like, why are you watching this? Oh my God, it's so slow. And then by the time we get to like episode 12, she's like, what's happening? What's going on? Oh my God, what? He did what? But see, that's a place of connection. I'm sharing authentically where I actually am, the tools I use, right? I'm not trying to pretend that I have it all together, because, I don't. So what I want to invite you into for this week is to do your own 3-vault inventory. Can you identify the relationships in your 3 vaults, right? Where do people live? How do you interact with the people in your world? Are the bulk of the people in your world in that first vault? Maybe they are. Are the bulk maybe in the second vault, where you can share, but you can't truly be 100% honest, right? And how many are actually in the 3rd vault? And do you hold back from sharing from the 3rd vault? Where's your own resistance in that? Where is it that you're keeping yourself safe? And what would it be? What would it take to create more relationships in the 3rd vault? I mean, honestly, I believe that that's part of our mission at Unity in Marin, is to create opportunities for people to build more relationships in the 3rd vault. That we come together in our small groups, we come together in our book studies, we come together in our classes, we come together as ushers and prayer chaplains, and we say, oh, okay, I'm going to actually really open up here, because we know it's a safe space. We're consciously creating safe space for that 3rd vault to be able to exist in our world. And it's in that 3rd vault that true collaboration can actually happen. True collaboration and expansion and engagement happens from that most authentic, centered place. So this week, find somebody to share with from the 3rd vault. Right? Welcome some new perspectives on the thing that you're holding near and dear. Now be discerning, right? We can be discerning. If you know that you don't want to show up in the 3rd vault and someone else is in the 1st vault, right? And you don't want to show up in the 3rd vault and someone else is in the 2nd vault, because they're just going to be worried about how it all looks. They're going to be worried about what the neighbors might. I mean, my parents were more concerned about what the Jewish temple was going to think about my being an actor, I think, than anything else, right? What kind of judgments were going to be made about them as parents that I wasn't a doctor or a lawyer? Because, we were Jewish. Those are your options. My brother became the lawyer. He took the heat off of me. So you want to be discerning, but it's also possible to take a 1st vault relationship and make it a 3rd vault relationship. But you have to be willing to be courageous. You have to be willing to be vulnerable. And if they meet you, awesome. And if they don't meet you, it's okay. We need relationships that are in all these spheres, right? So it's okay if someone is only able to meet you here, but just notice it. Don't judge them, don't make them wrong, but just be aware. Because what we want to have cultivating with our vision, with our dreams, as we're talking about manifestation, is that 3rd vault. Because that's where people are supportive and challenging. That's the environment we want to be in. Supportive and challenging. We don't want just people going, oh my God, you're brilliant, that's fabulous, woohoo, you're amazing. That may feel good, but it's not about our growth and expansion. We want people who say, oh my God, you're amazing, that's brilliant. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? What about this? Right? And that's who we want to be. So notice too, when people come to you with third vault connection, how do you respond? Do you slip into first vault? Oh, I don't want to, I'm going to just keep this person over here, right? Because it's safer. This is an opportunity. In order for us to truly manifest the world we want to live in, we have to be brave. We have to be courageous. We have to be audacious. But I want everyone to just look around, because everyone in here is going to be willing to engage in the process of creating third vault relationships. So you're not alone. Now, it may be messy, right? But we're all in this together. And that's the part about sharing your journey that is so important. Do not keep your most cherished vision secret. You know, they used to say that unity is the best kept secret, and I used to always be so annoyed by that. I was like, why are we a secret? Why are we saying yes to that? We don't want to be a secret. We want to be impactful. Your vision is not meant to be a secret. Your vision, your purpose, you are meant to be impactful. But in order for that to happen, you actually have to be willing to bring it into the world. Into the world. So let's take that into our time of meditation. As we just kind of breathe into everything that might have been stirred up. I know there's probably people and situations sort of flipping through your consciousness right now. And so we're just going to quiet the mind a little. We're going to open that heart up. And I'm going to invite you to Ken may call them vaults, but I'm going to call them gateways, because I want there to be movement. I want there to be flow. Not that you're shut down or closed off. And so just seeing that pathway to your most authentic self. First vault, that politeness. Second vault, I'm concerned about how they might judge me, so I'm going to present myself in a certain way. And that third vault, where we get to just be. Just feel the release, the relief, the ease in just being. And so as we rest here, in that space, just honoring any of the names or the people or the situations that might arise. Just setting an intention. Setting an intention for that most authentic self, the dream, the purpose that no one else can make manifest but you. The dream, the collective dream that we have of a world transformed because people are spiritually awakened. How are we called to move into this? How are we each called to share our journey? And that we're willing to engage, adapt, and evolve. Expansion. So let's rest here for a few minutes in the silence as we listen to the wisdom that we are. And so as we listen to the bird song, the birds singing to each other, singing to us, sharing their voice, sharing their joy, just invite you to see yourself embodying that capacity, singing your song, the song that is yours to sing, and knowing that it is in harmony with everybody else's song. The freer we are, the easier it is to harmonize. And that together we're creating this opportunity for true, lasting, empowered transformation. So I see us all blessed as we step forward this week, standing in our capacity for unapologetic manifestation as we are willing to collaborate, as we are willing to engage, adapt, and expand. And so it is. Amen. Ashe. So our affirmation for today, I'll say it first and then I'll invite you to say it with me. I courageously engage with new ideas, resources, and collaborators, welcoming greater clarity, innovation, and expansion. Can we know this together, please? I courageously engage with new ideas, resources, and collaborators, welcoming greater clarity, innovation, and expansion. And so it is. Ashe.